The first loss I had was at 31. My uncle who died without sufficient warning. I didn't know what to do with the particular grief, so I sat in it and waited for the morning to make it smaller, which it didn't. It just changed it into a different shape. The grief at 31 was the introduction to what every loss would look like in the landscape of the life after 31. What I know about loss now is that it doesn't leave exactly. What I know about loss now is that it changes shape and slowly becomes part of the furniture of the person you're living in. What I know about loss now is that you carry it differently after years. What I know about loss now is that you learn to walk with the particular gifts of the grief in the body, the way you learn to walk with anything that's become a permanent part of the carrying. What I know about loss now is the most particular learning I've done in all the years of the learning. I've had 7 losses down of various kinds, the uncle and the friend and the particular other. The losses that weren't deaths but were their own, the losses of the particular, the specific lover. The particular friendship that dissolved, each one teaching something about the next. What I know about loss now is the whole accumulated text of the 7, and the 7 were the teachers. What I know about loss now is that the grief is not linear. What I know about loss now is that the grief is the particular sinew of the love, just the love in a different coat. What I know about loss now is that you carry it differently after years. What I know about loss now is that you learn to walk with the particular gears. What I know about loss now is that the first one is the most disorienting, because you have no map for it, no previous experience, just the particular grief finding its footing in the body that doesn't know what to do. What I know about loss now is that the body learns. Over the losses, the body learns, and the grief gets different, not smaller, different. What I know about loss now is that the different is its own gift. What I know about loss now is worth knowing, is worth the 7 losses it took to know it, is worth the years, is the most important thing I carry from the years. You left a jacket in the back of my car, months after you'd already left the rest. I found it on a Sunday in November, folded in a way that told me it was blessed. By habit and by care you folded everything, even things left behind in someone else's car. I sat there in the car park for a while, holding the jacket in the ordinary dark. What you left in the car is still in the car. What you left in the car is still going as far as wherever I'm driving on any given day. You come along in the backseat in your folded way. What you left in the car is still making the journey. Taken it inside 3 times and brought it back. I put it in the boot and then the seat again. There's something about the jacket in the car that's harder to move on from than the rest of the wind. I've driven it to places you've never been, cities and to roads that aren't ours. And the jacket in the backseat has been there through all the different light and all the hours. What you left in the car is still in the car. What you left in the car is still going as far as wherever I'm driving on any given day. You come along in the backseat in your folded way. What you left in the car is still making the journey. I think I'll leave it there another while. There's no urgency in the removing. Some things don't need to be returned or sorted, they just need to stay until the moving on happens in its own good time. And I don't need to force the moving on. The jacket in the backseat of my car will tell me when it's time that it should go. Maybe it'll just come with me everywhere I go from here. What you left in the car has become a kind of dear. What you left in the car I'm keeping for now. What you left in the car, I'll let it tell me how long it needs to be there, and then it'll tell me when it's time to fold it into done. What you left in the car is still part of our run. What you left in the car is in the backseat still, folded just the way you fold things still. particular sound that comes with getting older. The soundtrack of the body doing its accounting. The knee in the morning and the back by evening. The particular music of the life amounting to all its years. I've started noticing the sounds, the catalog of the body's ongoing memo, that the years leave their particular rounds. The particular sound of getting older is not tragic, it's just the information. The particular sound of getting older is the body's running narration of the living, of the ongoing project of being here. The particular sound of getting older is the knee on the stairs at 7 in the morning. The particular sound of getting older is the back in the evening without a warning of anything dramatic, just the ordinary of the years. The particular sound of getting older is the body's particular ears. Being settled, being paid, the particular sound of getting older is the invoice being made. For every mile, for every night, the particular sound of getting older is also alright. I mentioned the need to the bartender last Thursday. He lifted his glass and said, "Welcome to the club." He said his shoulder has been making speeches since he turned 45 at this particular pub. We compared our various bodies' communications, the way the older regulars sometimes do. The particular sound of getting older is a conversation we've been talking through for years now, in the particular light of this bar. The particular sound of getting older is the body being honest about the distance. The particular sound of getting older is the most persistent companion of the years, always with you. The particular sound of getting older is the knee on the stairs at 7 in the morning. The particular sound of getting older is the back in the evening without warning. I made a kind of peace with the particular sound, the way you make peace with weather. You don't love the rain, but you accept the rain, and you walk through it together. The particular sound of getting older is the rain I walk through now. The particular sound of getting older is teaching me how to listen to the body more than I used to. The particular sound of getting older is still coming through. The particular sound of getting older. Good morning knee, good evening back, good morning again. we're doing this together. There's a date that comes around in February that I have not forgotten in 15 years. Not the kind of anniversary with dinner, more the kind that comes with different kinds of tears. She left on that particular February Tuesday, and every February I feel the particular weight of the date arriving without ceremony, like an uninvited guest who won't be late. The anniversaries we don't celebrate are the ones the body still insists upon. The body keeps the dates the mind would rather quietly let be quietly gone. The anniversary we don't celebrate comes back every year without the fanfare. The anniversary we don't celebrate is the one that nobody else is aware of carrying. Just me in February, just the particular Tuesday of the year. The anniversary we don't celebrate is the one I still hold dear. In its strange way, in the complicated way of the thing that changed you. The anniversary we don't celebrate is the one that most arranged you. 15 February Tuesdays since that Tuesday, each one different in the weight it brings. The first was enormous, the fifth was complicated, and somewhere in the middle it found its wings into a different kind of February feeling, not the raw thing but the understood. The anniversary we don't celebrate has become more like the annual could have been, could have gone different. The anniversaries we don't celebrate become the ones we carry most precisely. They live in the body without the marking and arrive each year so quietly. The anniversary we don't celebrate comes back every year without the fanfare. The anniversary we don't celebrate is the one that nobody else is aware. I've stopped finding the February feeling. It comes and I let it do its particular work. The anniversary we don't celebrate is the one I've learned to not shirk from. Just feel, just let February be February. The anniversary we don't celebrate is part of my February, and that's alright. 15 years in, the anniversary we don't celebrate is just the winter coming in. The anniversary we don't celebrate. February again, same date, different year, same weight, different me, still here. lived in 7 apartments in 12 years, each one teaching me something about space. The last one was the first one that felt permanent. The first one I arranged with more than just bass. I put the books in order by the color spine. I framed a print I'd had in rows for years. I bought a lamp with an actual decent light, and found the apartment settling into gears. The last apartment is the one I made into a place. The last apartment is where I learned to use the space. For living, not for passing through to somewhere. For being rather than the almost been. The last apartment is where I finally came clean. I hung the print above the desk on a Sunday. Stood back and the room was more itself. The lamp went in the corner, and the lamplight gave everything the warmth of being felt. Books in color order on the shelf were not practical but true to something. The arrangement of the apartment becoming the outside of whatever I was becoming. The last apartment is the one I made into a place. The last apartment is where I learned to use the space. For living, not for passing through to somewhere. For being rather than the almost been. The last apartment is where I finally came clean. I thought about what changed between 6 before and the last apartment, and why it settled. I think it was the print I'd kept in rolls for years, finally going on the wall, unnettled. Something in the hanging of the thing I'd always meant to hang committed me to the idea of being here. The last apartment said I'm staying for a while, and I said yes, and the apartment cleared. The last apartment I meant to live in, the last apartment I finally gave in to being someone who commits to a room, who hangs the print and buys the decent lamp. The last apartment lifted off the dam of always being ready to be leaving. something that felt more like arrived. The last apartment is where I most survived. Oh, the last apartment is still mine. Still the lamp in the corner, still the print above the desk, still the books in color, still here, still home.
The night knows things about me that the day doesn't. I've told the night things I haven't told anyone. The particular confessions of the 2 a.m. The things that only come out under the particular sun. Of the absent sun, of the dark and the quiet. The night has been my most consistent confessor. The night has heard every particular riot of the honest self, the one I keep from the daytime. What the night knows about me is the most complete biography. What the night knows about me is the most particular topography of the actual person behind the day version. What the night knows about me is 50 years of the honest hours. What the night knows about me is all the particular powers and failures and the fears and the particular loves that the daytime keeps presentable. What the night knows about me is the most representable version of the truth of the person I actually am. What the night knows about me is the most honest telegram I've sent to myself across the years. I've been having a night conversation with myself since my early 20s at various bars. The night and I have built a particular language, a particular reading of the particular stars of the life I'm living. The night knows when I'm performing and when I'm not. The night knows the difference between the got together and the actual. What the night knows about me is more than anyone else knows. What the night knows about me is the full range of the highs and the lows that the years have contained. What the night knows about me is 50 years of the honest hours. What the night knows about me is all the particular powers. At 50, the night conversation is quieter, less the confessing and more the accounting, less the raw thing and more the consider more the particular kind of mounting understanding of what I've been and what I am. What the night knows about me is the most complete kind of exam I've ever taken and passed in my own particular way. What the night knows about me is the most worth the staying up for. What the night knows about me is between me and the night. After 50 years of the conversation, I think we understand each other, the night and I, pretty well.
Last Saturday, something happened without warning. A particular light and a particular temperature of air. I walked out of the building into the morning and felt the way I felt at 20 there. Not the 20-year-old body, not the 20-year-old unknowing, just the particular ease of a Saturday morning when everything was open and going, without the weight of the accumulated, without the particular gravity of the years. Just a Saturday morning in the body that I have now, without the usual arrears. The Saturday I didn't feel old came without an announcement. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the most particular pronouncement that the age I carry isn't everything, that it is not always present. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the best surprise of recent years. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the disappearance of the usual gears of the morning and the body and the taking stock that the normal Saturdays require. The Saturday I didn't feel old was its own particular fire of the younger thing that's still in here, somewhere behind the years. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the gift of the disappearing fears. For one morning, just one, I walked the long way to the coffee shop, the one that adds 20 minutes to the route, and felt the 20 minutes like a pleasure, not a cost, not the usual calculus about the knee and the back and the particular inventory of the body's ongoing mammo. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the morning of the tempo that I had forgotten, that the body can still do. The Saturday I didn't feel old was a reminder that the age. The Saturday I didn't feel old was a particular kind of page in the story that isn't the only page. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the best surprise of recent years. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the disappearance of the usual gears. I've been thinking about that Saturday since, trying to identify the particular conditions that allowed the age to fall away for a morning. The light in the air and the particular positions of the planets, I suppose, or just the body's occasional mercy. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the most rehearsed, unhurried, free version of myself in years, and I'm carrying it forward. The Saturday I didn't feel old is the most pointed reward for sticking with the years, for showing up for all of them. The Saturday I didn't feel old was the best of them. The Saturday I didn't feel old, still remember it. The light, the air, the 20 minutes extra, worth every year it took to earn it.
The bar looks different at 50 than it did at 30. Not the bar itself, which hasn't changed its bones. The bar looks different because the person looking has accumulated 20 years of the particular tones of the light and the people and the particular hour, and brings all 20 years to the seeing of the room. The bar at 50 looks the same as the bar at 30, but carries 20 years of different bloom. How the bar looks at 50 is the bar through 20 more years of the living. How the bar looks at 50 is the bar through 20 years of the giving and the taking, of the hours at the bar. How the bar looks at 50 is the richest version of the looking. How the bar looks at 50 is the most specific kind of booking of the particular with the accumulated. The bar I see at 50 has the depth of everything I've been and done inside it, every particular breath at this particular counter, in this particular light. How the bar looks at 50 is the most particular sight I've had in here in 20 years of having it. At 30 the bar looked like a possibility, a place where things might happen if I stayed. At 50 the bar looks like what it actually is, a room where the particular life is made. In In the Thursday, in the regular, in the known. At 50 the bar looks like the thing it is, not the pretext, but the home of the actual. How the bar looks at 50 is the real version. How the bar looks at 50 is the bar without the diversion of the what might happen, just the what is. Oh, how the bar looks at 50 is the richest version of the looking. How the bar looks at 50 is the most specific kind of booking. I've been trying to describe the difference in the seeing of the room at 50 versus 30. It's not better or worse, it's more and more clearly just what it is, which turns out to be everything. How the bar looks at 50 is the most complete kind of seeing that 20 years of coming here delivers. How the bar looks at 50 is the bar at its most full. How the bar looks at 50. How the bar looks at 50 is worth the pull of the 20 years of Thursdays that it took to see it this clearly. How the bar looks at 50 like home, like the real thing, like 20 years of exactly this, of exactly right.
My oldest friend moved away the year before last. The last person in this city who knew me at 22, who remembered the particular version of the before, the particular version that existed only for the few, who were there in the beginning, in the first city years, when everything was the first time and the world was full of first years. She was the last one here who held that version of me. The last person who knew me young is now 3,000 miles away. The last person who knew me young is a call instead of a Thursday, in the same room, in the same particular knowing. The last person who knew me young is the particular keeper of the before. The last person who knew me young holds the particular store of the 22-year-old version that no one here in the current city knows. The last person who knew me young is where the particular version of me goes when I want to be known in the full and before and after way. The last person who knew me young is 3,000 miles away. The particular particular grief of the last one leaving is the particular grief of the whole person, not the sadness of the missing friend exactly, more the particular kind of worsening of the feeling of being only known in the current version, without the anger of the before. The last person who knew me young was the particular mooring at the dock of who I started as. The last person who knew me young knew things about me no one here knows. The last person who knew me young holds the particular rose of the beginning. The last person who knew me young is the particular keeper of the before. The last person who knew me young holds the particular store. I call her on Sundays now, she calls me on things that remind her we hold each other's before in the way that only the first friends can find the particular beginning. Across the distance, the last person who knew me young is the most persistent connection to the whole version of who I am. The before and the after, connected in the particular plan of the oldest friendship. The last person who knew me young is on the phone on Sunday, still knowing me in the before and after, in the full. Across 3,000 miles, still mine, still the keeper.
There's a group of us who've been coming here for years, long enough to know each other's orders cold. We don't know each other in the outside world, but here was something that is harder to be told. Bartender who's been here almost as long as us moves between us with the ease of the familiar. We've watched each other age around this bar in the particular light that makes it clearer. The regulars know things about each other that the official biographies don't hold. The small things and the quiet things and the Thursday things, the things that only bars get to be told. Regular